Course Plus. Expressway to elegant career.
Be clear about your goals. If you want to achieve self-discipline, you must have a clear vision of what you want to accomplish. This is non-negotiable. Everything else is a non-starter. You may have figured everything out. You may even have a solid game plan on how to go about doing things. But none of that matters if you don't have a clear vision of what you seek to accomplish. Goals are not wishes. I can't even begin to tell you how many people think that they already have goals and plans in life. Well, if you ask them for specific details, it turns out that they don't have goals. They have a clear idea of where they'd like to end up. There's no shortage of people imagining themselves living in palatial homes, possessing big bank accounts, and driving a fine Italian sports car. But these are not goals. These are fantasies and wishful thinking. You know you have a goal when you can take that endpoint of you living in this castle and then explaining clearly to yourself the backward steps you need to take to get there. That's when you know you have goals. A clear plan outlines each step you must take in order to reach your goals. The goals often line up to make larger goals, which produces other outcomes, and these then line up to produce even bigger goals. For example, if you want to be a lawyer in California, generally speaking, you have to take the bar exam. For that to happen, generally speaking, you have to go to an accredited law school. Well, the problem is not just anybody can go to law school. Most of the time, you have to have a college degree or some sort of academic credential. While it does happen that people who did not finish high school can become lawyers, they take a different route. If you want to take the general route of becoming a lawyer, then that means you have to get a 4-year degree. To get a 4-year degree, you have to apply to college. To apply to college, you have to take an entrance exam. Do you see how this works? There is the grand goal that you have for yourself, which is to become an attorney. But there are the sub-goals that you have to go through. You have to go on a journey, and with each victory lies another path that requires another victory. That's how life is, regardless of what endpoint you're looking at. Your endpoint might be to find yourself in a grand mansion. Great, awesome. But you have to pay attention to the series of goals that need to be achieved prior to you reaching that endpoint. Goals require prioritization. Once you have a clear idea of the steps that you need to take to achieve your ultimate goal, the next step is to set your priorities straight. You may have a nicely laid out path to go from where you are to where you need to go. That is great. The problem is, if you have other responsibilities, duties, and obligations, it's very easy to get lost in the weeds. It's very easy to think that your job, which doesn't really lead to your goals, is your number one priority. So you don't take classes. You drop semester after semester because you're working on your job. The problem here is that your job isn't tied directly to your goal. Sure, your job produces money so you can afford to work on your ultimate goal, but that is the extent of its proper relationship to your goal. Do you see my point? If you prioritize your job first, then your goal decreases in importance, and before you know it, it goes out of mind. It ceases to be important and you remain stuck where you are. The moment you decide on your ultimate vision for your life is the moment you must also decide to reprioritize your life. As important as your job is in putting food on the table, please understand that it's of secondary importance to the grand vision that you are pursuing. Live your life accordingly. In none of this advice do I say that you drop your job. I'm not saying that at all. That's not what I'm encouraging you to do. Instead, put everything in proper focus and invest your energy accordingly. The great thing about crushing goals. The most awesome thing about crushing goals is that once you clear one hurdle, you get a nice surge of energy and possibility. For example, when somebody wants to become an attorney, they must first get into college. When they take the SAT and they do well and they get into a good college, it feels good. They built discipline there. When you free up your energy clearing that first hurdle of getting into a 4-year university, you have to redirect that to the next step, which is to take the LSAT and finish college with high enough marks to get into a good school. Once you're there, you need to do well in your first year so you can get a good job with a big law firm or a prestigious practitioner that will open doors for your career later on. Everything is tied together, and that's why you have to be very careful of how you channel your energy as you clear one hurdle after another. A lot of people confuse clearing one important goal as an excuse to relax. No, don't do it that way. That's a non-starter. To a certain extent, trying to achieve success by being self-disciplined is like being a shark. Did you know that if a shark isn't swimming, it's dying? The same goes with you. If you're not pushing forward to the next goal, you're stagnating. And before you know it, you're going to find yourself in a very tough spot. Step-by-step guide to proper goal identification. Step number 1, start your day with a list of tasks that you need to accomplish. Knock out one task at a time. Don't get emotionally caught up in each task. Allow the energy and sense of relief released by completing one task to carry over to the next task. Step number 2, visualize your grand goal. Think of what you truly desire in your life. I'm talking about your big goals here. Think about what it would feel like. Think about what you would look like when you are living that kind of life. Come back to this vision before you begin a daily task and after you complete it. When you do this, you line up all the small nitty-gritty things that you're doing now to something bigger. This reminds your subconscious, as well as your conscious mind, that everything that you do now has meaning. Every step that you take now ultimately will lead to the grand victory you are working so hard for. Step number 3, write down your grand vision for yourself every day. In the morning, write down your grand vision. Read it, visualize it, and then crumple the paper. And then, starting with a fresh page of paper, write it down again. When you do this, you refresh your subconscious and your conscious mind. You also filter out visions and goals that are not really all that important. Maybe you think that you're supposed to go after them because other people desire them. But if you refresh your life's grand vision this way, a lot of that extra stuff falls out. What's left are the things that are truly important in your life. These are the goals that stick. These are the things that you know deep down inside will always remain important to you. Step number 4, consciously recommit yourself to your grand goal. At the risk of sounding corny, you have to look at the list of grand goals and visions for yourself and say to yourself, I am capable. I have chosen this for myself. I am going to do this. I'm just giving you those phrases as starting points. Feel free to come up with your own version. What's important here is that you consciously commit to these. Please understand that it takes years to achieve these. It definitely takes quite a bit of sacrifice. But the good news is, by being as conscious of these as possible, you burn them into your mind. It becomes part of your daily ritual when you write and rewrite and crumple up the goal list. Eventually, it becomes part of you. Step number 5, take action on your goals. When you're crushing your daily list of tasks, always remember how they relate to your goals. At the end of the day, give yourself some affirmations regarding what you achieved and how they helped you get one step closer to your goal. This enables you to overcome procrastination. This also pushes you to do your very best in achieving your goals. This step also makes sure that your goals are at the top of your mind. They are not some distant fantasy or notion that would be nice if it happened. Instead, it becomes immediate.